Right.
And so, if you're going to ask me for one thing,
Or not just one thing, I mean, just things that.
well, yeah, but other people need an opportunity to talk to. So every time I've taken home 2 or 3
Yeah.
big ideas, you know. But last week, what really stuck with me is the discussion we had on values.
Okay.
I had never really given that a lot of thought. I've heard the words and I looked at light and dark, and I didn't really, and then you were kind enough to share that with that color scale thing with me, and it just made me really see this differently, and that was very helpful. So
That's great.
yeah, I thank you so much.
The values are big.
Yeah, and thanks to all of you who've been just lovely, and I've learned from all of you too, and it's been great.
Yeah, and thank you all for doing. I mean, coming in here and just opening up and sharing your what you know and your thoughts and critiques and ideas and things that you use to help you in your work, and to pass those on, and that's for me, that's big. That's for me, that has been one of my goals in this class, is that you guys feel comfortable enough, and it's a small class, and it just really worked out great in that way. That's cool. Thank you. Yep.
The positive thing that I think is the way that we teach, you don't have any fear, no matter what level you are at. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So the lack of fear.
Lack of fear.
Well, just that you call us your fearless artists or fearless drawers, whatever you said. One of my kids read that and they thought, that's so cool, Mom. You're this fearless, drawer. So yeah, that is a great kid.
I love it. Yeah, fearless. I mean, it's because you're delving into something that there's a whole lot of people out there who have no clue. They may have a PhD in astrophysics. That's a pretty nice PhD. And yet they can't draw a stick figure. Have you heard that expression? I always say when people use that expression, I say, well, if you're going to draw a stick figure, make sure you put some clothes on because they get really cold. That's great, fearless, and love it. So Ed, by being fearless and having the confidence, then what does that allow you to do?
Explore anything.
Grow.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, and to take the next step, and I'll try that. When I'm trying to decide what I'm trying to do, because I take so many photos of my kids and grandkids and so forth, is deciding which one I want to use. I'm at a point where I'm not particularly worried or fearful or whatever the word is on doing something. It comes together because and that's where I want you guys to be working towards is so that these things are second nature to you, and that you are comfortable and you're willing to try something that's quite a challenge. Okay, the artists of the past, the great artists of today, who tackle these major compositions and art pieces, do that because they have the skills and they have the confidence, and then that lays everything open. So you're with those things you feeling comfortable with, then you're able to. Then that's when your creativity sets in, and you I can try this, I can combine this, I can look out there, and you start looking around, and you drive along and you go, that's a painting, that's a drawing, and it's just, it's almost a curse kind of, but it's still a lot of fun, and having like what Ray is doing. This is just really amazing. He has this cool sketchbook, and so a small sketchbook and doing a drawing in it, not everything that you do having to be some elaborate work of art, but highly recommend. I mean, what he's doing is great. What all of you are doing.
This sketchbook was started in 2017, and I picked it up today. So this has been years, literally. And so, yeah, I think it cycles too. You have you just have a sense of a rolling, ongoing.
Yeah. So that's great. Okay, so let's see. Somewhere I have my glasses. There they are. Normally I pretty much know where they are. Here? Yeah. So, jotted down some things. I have this image here. Can I have everybody stand up, maybe come over here? So I would like for someone to share what are some important measurements or some important things to look at on the portrait.
First of all, get a caliper before you even open your mouth.
So the calipers, these things are pretty handy, I must admit. And I got these at Clay Arts in Tacoma. There's a lot of places you can find, get them online, and they're aluminum, they're really light, and so I'll use these a lot for measuring and for comparing in proportions, things like that.
Oh, yeah.
Does everybody understand how I use these?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what we got our basic portrait here, this young lady. So what are some things that if you're doing happen to be doing a face-on portrait, then what are some things that you look at?
Eyes.
Okay.
I always start with the eyes and the nose area.
Okay, what about the eyes?
Usually the eye, whatever the width of one eye is always pretty much this, unless the head is turned a little bit.
Okay.
And then the nose is usually the same space.
Okay.
So I usually start there with those dots.
Okay.
And create.
Okay. What else?
Triangles.
What do you mean by the triangle?
Everything's a triangle.
Okay. Okay. So what do you mean? So on the image.
Well, like your eyes to your nose,
Okay,
that's
okay.
a triangle.
Okay. So what that triangle that I've inverted triangle or triangle whatever. So what does that what is the value of seeing that on your reference? Whether it's a photo or a person.
It's a space.
Proportion.
Yeah.
Proportion.
Yeah.
Okay, where things go. So does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So when we look at someone and we meet them, then we don't necessarily size them up, but that's what we see. We recognize someone, and if they you see them a week later, their nose is a quarter inch longer or whatever, you're going to go,
What happened
there's
to
something
you?
different about you. I don't know. But yeah, so that's really critical. That's really important. And does everybody understand that triangle in terms of where you're looking? Pretty much? Okay, you good? Everybody good?
Would you explain that to me?
Yeah, sure. So this triangle, this inverted triangle, is, I mean, these distances, just like you said, that, you know, that is much the same as that, is a general rule, still worth kind of looking at and measuring and kind of eyeballing, kind of seeing. This thing, but this down here, the length of the nose, because that's what varies, or can vary. And so that, taking all that in at once, when you look at your image and really studying, really looking at that, then you can, that's measurable. You know, I mean, if I go like, well, on my, you know, let's see, so I'm, you know, here are the pupils, middle of the pupils, and then so where does that go? So bottom of the nose up to about here. Okay, so that's my reference. Then that's, and then so when on my drawing, then I use that proportion, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and what are some other? So we got that. What are some other things to in terms of drawing some this person, this actual person, to get them as accurately drawn as you can? What else do you look at?
Well, didn't you say at one point the third, and the third
Okay.
measurement?
So so this distance here, you know, the bottom of the nose to the bottom of the chin. Okay, and then I measure that. That comes up to the brow here, which essentially comes up, if her hair was out of the way, then her top of her forehead, right? Okay. So and that's a general rule, and it's particular with adults. Children is going to be different, and that's why, you know, measuring is critical. What are some other very important shapes to look at, and in essence, in measurements that you would want to make on a portrait?
The ridges past the lips going up toward the base of the nose.
Okay. So here.
Yes, and up.
Okay. And then and then rotation.
The pillars.
Okay. Right. So this. You know, where does the, you know, the corners of the mouth, where they strike her eyes, for example, you know, coming up here, and I take a vertical and go straight, so it's, you know, it's right there. If this were my reference, right? So then my drawing, then I would do the same thing. Okay. So that right there. What other shapes are important?
Well, aren't ears very important?
Yeah.
If you don't cover them with hair, they really show up.
Okay, so ears are very important, no question about it. And oftentimes that's where I struggle. But what are some ways to help you in the location of the ears?
Because usually they're just even with the nose at the bottom.
Okay, if you're looking straight on,
Yeah.
so if I look at you like this, and I look at you like this, what's happening? Yeah, so the ears, you know, it just depends on. So again, something that you
gesture
measure.
of the head, you know,
Exactly. You know, so that's something that you look at. Okay. So in this case, you know, her ears happen to be right about at the bottom of where her nose is. You know, that sort of thing. They come up to here, slightly above here. Okay. So those are, you know, and then I can also measure. I mean, I can kind of go like, well, that ear is that long, so that ear is about that length here. Right? So on my reference, I go, well, okay, so that is there. Okay, that's how long it is going to be. So, or using a pencil or a brush or something like that to help you with that measurement, right? Okay. What other shapes are important to get right, to get the likeness?
Well, the lips.
Okay. All right. So what about the lips?
Yeah, well,
They're hard.
yeah. I don't know, but they're important.
They're important, right. Can you imagine? So lots of things about the lips, right? They're first of all, their location, okay? And so this distance from here to here is measurable. But again, over time, again, you have someone sitting in front of you. Well, you can, you can do that. Which is fine. But you also get better and better at eyeballing it and kind of comparing, and you can have the person sitting here and they're like that, so you can get that measurement. So that is very, very important. Okay, and these are things that I have to really work on them too to get it right, and sometimes I don't, and I redraw it and I get it right. This right here, that distance from, let's call these the wings of the nose, the nostrils or whatever. That distance, that's a muscle, and you can kind of see that her cheeks are here, and high cheekbones. And so that, and also this shape right here. Okay, so I have, where the muscles, this line, kind of comes down here, the light's kind of coming down here. And this line that comes off of the wing part up here, with that distance, but this shape right here, the bottom of her nose, and this angle here. So when I'm looking at someone, looking at a photo reference, I look at that shape there as well. And then all that dimension, it has dimension. So if I get her lips up too high or whatever, or too low or whatever, that's what I look at. So I just look at that shape. And that shape again, we've talked about positive and negative shapes. Well, that's kind of a negative shape, isn't it? Mm-hmm. It really is. Because it's not a thing. This is, the shape, or this is the shape of the mouth. But that right there, that's really important.
And when you flip it upside down, it even becomes more of a shape without being...
Exactly. So you see it that way, okay? So those kinds of things there. And, placement of the mouth, and when you're looking at it, whereabouts is it, sometimes it's easy to get too close up to the nose or too far down, so you don't have much of a chin here, right? So that's important. So you're using multiple ways of placement of the feature to get it right. That distance here, and this shape here, and that will help you. You get that right, then you can fix the chin. If the chin's off a little bit, then okay. And it's not necessarily perfect. It doesn't need to be perfect, but it can be pretty darn close. And again, the closer you make it, then what that does inside of you is it makes you less apt to go and good enough. Now again, I'm a portrait artist. There are people out there that do figurative work, and those who do figurative work and portrait work, they have my respect. And that just it depends on what you want to do. I love the face, okay, and so I whenever I've been out doing figurative work, wherever I happen to be, I very often, that's what sometimes I leave the body, so to speak, and I will focus on the face. That's just where I am. But that's not to say that learning, and working, doing figurative work it is not extremely valuable in your quest, right? And that's a whole other set of classes. It really is. And figurative work is a wonderful thing to do. Any opportunity you can get to do that is great. Anyway, so those are things that when you're looking at another perspective of in a portrait. All those things are still there, but they've shifted. Now you've got foreshortening to deal with, right? And so again, all these shapes and all those things, those are in terms of the portrait, and your interest in drawing that person, like you nailed this drawing. You really
a lot of hours on it.
And it is, again, those seeing things that way.
The guy did do that trick.
Yeah.
Said
one.
it just, well, you're turning it upside down and turn it sideways and stuff like that. But I have to walk away and then come back on it. And then when I come back on it, it's when I see, because as I'm walking up to something, I'll be like, oh, that makes sense, the nose.
Exactly.
That little bit on the nostrils makes a big difference.
Right. But Ray had a very, very good point when he said that taking care of something then, you have invested a lot of time in your focusing. Those brain cells have been really concentrating on looking at that image, and then you fix it. You go, okay, well, I'll get up in a moment to go to the bathroom. Oh, maybe. But anyway, but yeah, so you do that, you take care of it, and then and then otherwise you can come back to it and you go, there was something that
You just turn your head away. And then you come back and then you don't have exactly where that nose was. So if you do it now, before you erase, before you look away, then.
But you did have a good point. You said that I'll go somewhere and then I'll come back to it. And that's true.
That's what I'm trying to.
Yeah,
you fix it and then you erase.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
One of the
yeah,
girls from yesterday.
right, and obviously there will come a time when you are, because there's things that are maybe off on your drawing that you don't see no matter what, so you don't see it enough to even fix it, so you don't know what to fix.
Until you're walking up
You
on
walk,
it, and then you go.
or you come in the next day and look at it and go, gosh, and but that's when you look at something with a fresh eye, and that's just the way things work. And so anyway, that's excellent. Thank you. Very good. So
the thing I'm stuck on now is because the portrait I'm doing, she has blonde hair.
okay.
So, so I kind of just stopped because I have no idea how I make blonde hair show up, on the picture.
Okay, great question. That's technique.
Wow.
So,
I was thinking about making her brunette.
blonde hair's great. No. The fun thing about blonde hair is, and rendering it, is that you got all that light area, and you get to use your eraser.
My eraser.
And you get to use all your tools. As far as that goes, it's like we were talking about with the rocks.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so in your drawing, he's standing on this big beach, and so you as the artist go, well, I just want enough here to make the point that he's on a beach. So I put these rocks in here, and I do like a vignette. I'll call it a vignette, and then you're good. You've made your point. right? So you don't have to have every single rock in there.
No.
That, as far as that goes. But again, that's working with light value, you know, lifting out with the eraser and that sort of thing. That's kind of what this is about. Is, you know, you have all the shadow, you know, all this, because you want that, her blonde hair to pop, you know,
Oh, yeah,
to come,
yeah.
to come, you know,
Mhm.
to come out. And so you got all this shadow around it, and this right here, just like in your drawing, your portrait, same thing. You know, you have her hair with the highlights, you know, that sort of. Well, hers is more brunette, right?
Well, I was thinking if I was gonna take it to the next level and go to oil, and I'm thinking I'd start with a black background and come out of the black forward. And I'm wondering if she could dust gray on here and then bring it out from the
So
gray.
let me talk.
What about that
Well,
process?
the thing that you can do that, I like to start sort of midway, mid-tone, and then you can kind of, if you darken that strong dark background, which you can do, but you just have so much more that you have to. As far as oils go, I mean, you're putting all that stuff on top of it.
Well, I was just saying, the way I would solve that with another medium was to start from
Okay.
really dark and come up to the lighter.
Yeah.
But the challenge is how do you get, like you said,
Well,
the intermediate level of gray or
but
what?
so you know, great question. So what you can do, you know, with a drawing like this is I can
I remember years ago, I took one of your classes, and you told us that you couldn't actually take it off unless you put it on. So you had to actually.
Oh, yeah, that makes perfect
that.
sense.
Well,
But it's mysterious.
What
Getting it on.
you do is you're trying to take something that's not there, so now what he's doing is putting it on.
So I toned.
Oh, okay.
I toned this, right? Okay, so I got this tone which is close to.
Like a pearl gray.
Yeah, he's in there to do that more. Because he's got to put it on so that he can take it off. Then you can use your eraser, and your eraser will do some of your work.
Now, so the thing that, you know, so you tone the whole paper. I can tone the whole paper, which is kind of cool, working on toned paper.
So that's your technique for doing blondes, is to start with a tone paper, that's your first.
So,
fix.
yeah, so I got all this in you know, in here, and then, okay, so I got that. Then,
Looks good already.
Yeah.
Well, when you start
But
doing
that's so
the
critical.
scary part though is to, you know, keep your contour of what you've already done. Like- Yeah, so, but luckily
okay,
he doesn't have much
well,
hair on
so-
her face, it's
so
all on the
what
side.
I would do is, it's just like you're doing. I mean, there's lots of ways to skin a cat. Is, you know, I've taught you about doing your really accurate drawing. This is kind of a different technique, right? What I'm showing you here.
Okay.
But, you know, doing that, I mean, I can also render that, you know, when I tone this, you know, I can, you know, I can still, you know, I've got my drawing here, you know, like so, and it comes up here, and the mouth is like this, and nose. But I can,
Oh, I see what you're saying.
so what I'm doing is
You kind of reverse.
I'm lifting out.
Yeah,
See that?
yeah. Why
So-
didn't I do that?
Well, you didn't know it, that's where you learn it, you gotta learn it from this guy.
Well, it's because I didn't, you know, I haven't really gone over, this is a really cool, way of drawing, is doing this, working on tone paper. Okay, now, you go, okay, well, that's great. And so I just happened to, you know, then I got, you know, my other,
You take out, you know, you put your trees a little darker and stuff like that, and then you pull it out, and it looks so cool.
See how that comes up?
Oh, wow.
yeah. And then I go, well, you know, it's all well and good. But I can also use
You want a white charcoal?
white charcoal.
I don't have any.
And I go, okay, so here's my, you know, this thing right here. So I could, you know, then I could fill in, you know, this bit. I'm working kind of fast, but, and but the point I'm trying to make comes up.
Man, that's impressive how that
Isn't
works.
that cool?
I mean,
I
working
did
on a
it.
tone paper, that is, for blonde, that is just, I mean, you do it upside down and it comes out, it's just like, it's magic here.
Try it your
So-
and you go on a beach.
That's right, yeah.
So anyway, so you got this, you know, the hair, you know, I want this hair to kind of come down. You know, and it kind of comes down here, you know, this shape. You know, so it's kind of- So anyway, so I got this
Chris, that emerges. It's so impressive. I mean, it just,
And it's fun. And it is just hilarious, because if you mess up, all you do is put more dirt back down and then take it back up again.
You got it. So,
it's so impressive.
That was one of my favorite things that I learned was doing that, because it's just, and then you try all kinds of different erasers. You can just so many different things from, every time I go to any store, if I'm wandering up and down the aisles, I go to the school section and buy every eraser I can find.
They're all different. you know.
Well, they are, they do different shapes and stuff.
So-
it's fun.
so I got this right here, and I and then, you know, this,
Yeah.
That's really
Let's
impressive.
see that?
Mm-hmm.
Well, et cetera, et cetera. Then I go, well, so here's this. Something over here. I have,
So actually, it would be really cool not even to make this real defined, just have it kind of float off,
could.
like that. At least I like that.
So yeah, and so I, you know, do this thing.
Oh, okay, so it is just, okay, because that's, that's the only thing I could think of to do, but I didn't want to do it because I didn't know if that was the thing to do.
Well, let me ask you this. I'm so glad you put it that way too. Where's my rule book for drawing? It ain't there. So if I think it might work,
Try it.
try it. There's nothing that is stopping you from trying something, because that's, again, the cool thing about being a drawer, or someone who's really any medium for that matter. It's just you think you might be the first person on the planet to ever think about that. I'm serious. It's like this is something that I can do to solve my problem. I want this to be this way, so therefore I'm going to try this. It works great. It doesn't, but don't say to yourself, again, you're learning.
Well, that's true.
You're learning, and so if I take this little step here, and it works, bingo.
Then you walk out the door and you're in a whole new hallway.
Whole new hallway. So when I first came onto these things, and the artist who showed me how, I was just blown away. I went, what?
Yeah, I know, I need to get one.
And I've shared this with a lot of people, and they go, what? So again, so I'm lifting all this, but you'll see that, and I go, okay, see how that lifts right out?
Mm-hmm. Can I see the eraser or whatever? Oh, okay.
Just a very dirty, needed
This is-
eraser.
Yeah,
Okay.
this is called a lazy person's needle eraser here, but you'll see that,
I don't have an eraser like that. Can I feel it?
of course,
Oh,
you don't have.
But usually they're a little.
So it's kind of like clay. Okay.
What it is,
They're
and
smaller when you buy them. You have to put a bunch of them together. You massage them in your hand.
He's had that one for a long time. Put a bunch
Oh,
of
I
them
see.
together.
so you can,
That's
you can take this, and what happens
Ridiculous.
over time is that all the particles and everything get in there, and they can kind of, stiffen it and that sort of thing. But I do this, and I
Yeah, just to warm it up a little.
warm it up,
Okay.
and then you get it to.
So what kind of eraser is that called?
That's a kneaded eraser.
Yeah.
A kneaded, like
A kneadable,
K-N-E,
a kneaded,
okay.
K-N, exactly.
Like you do a piece of bread.
Yeah, so I don't have one here, but, look at that.
Huh, okay.
But,
They usually are gray like mine.
yeah, they're great.
They get black when they're like.
But again, but my point is this, I got all this stuff here, and, and it's just another way of doing it. And all kinds of different erasers like you were talking about, and I go, well, I'm gonna get a little darker here, so I'll do that.
If you don't put line until you've done a lot of that kind of stuff, it's easier to change your mind on things. If you start drawing lines, it's hard to erase.
That's true.
So if you do it like this first and get your gist down, then decide where you're gonna put those lines
Yeah,
afterwards.
and so
It's
those,
easier.
well, let me show you this.
On the horse?
So,
Oh, you did your grass.
yeah, so so what I didn't show you was, again, I started with the chalk. Okay, so the chalk you can lay on top of it. Well, when I did this, very, very tonal drawing, had a lot of fun with the fall kind of coming up. This, I call this Dutcher's Cove. That's supposed to be Dutcher.
Okay.
But now this, I took this photo of this horse on the road, it's like that road right there, going out towards Vaughan. And there was this, like a halflinger, I think, that was always grazing in there. So I shot some cool pictures. And this one, he's had a daisy in his mouth. It's like perfect. And whenever I go out, when I'm trying to get the horse's attention, I go, whoop, whoop, and they'll look over at you.
And then you take a snapshot.
Then take a picture, exactly. So I tried to do that. You can see that this, that flash right there is pretty white. And that is probably, that's white. That's the white of the paper, okay? It just, and a lot of it, if you really, really put a lot of material on the paper, it is harder to lift out.
Oh, yeah.
And what I just showed you was a fairly, it was dark, but it was not a lot of layers, okay? So in here, and there's a whole lot of flowers. So I give them a lot of flowers. So there's lots of grass in there, that sort of thing. And so a lot of this stuff is, I did use chalk, and that's a thing, is it's getting really good, chalk, pastel, white pastel, to use that. But also, getting these details in here, the cool thing is, you can use tip of your eraser, that's kind of what I did there, and all those details in there are used.
So you pull it out.
This is, to lift out as much as,
So a lot of that's almost totally lifted out. You put the dark down first and you lift it and carefully lift it.
and so I'm thinking, so it's just like you said, it's like I thought of this, well, that's kind of what I did here, because I wanted to this is I don't know if it's like a cedar, I think, but I wanted to get that, I wanted to read as that type of tree, and so there's I put in a lot of detail. This is 2012, I think. But anyway, again, that's lifting out like all this stuff back up in here.
It's really cool how you have light in the mid area, and then it comes through you, then you get the shadow and the light up front. That's a great,
And it's you're the artist, and so how do you want what do you want people to see? And this and it is slightly closer. It's a little bit more distance. I don't like to put a lot of detail, major forms dead center, but
it's awesome.
yeah. But anyway, so that's a way to do that, to get that you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
So, and another thing, again, practice. If you have an idea that just occurs to you, practice. Try it on a piece of scratch paper or whatever. If you work your problems out on a separate piece of paper, okay? And I mean, if you're kind of wondering about a particular drawing, or there's something, an element in your drawing that you're, not real sure about or whatever, sketch it. That's what great artists do.
It's called a study.
That's right.
Yeah.
Leonardo did that. He would do studies.
Yeah.
But it is cool. That works.
Oh, okay, well,
It's all
you
part.
made it look doable.
It's fun. You start doing it and you'll get hooked.
You will, and the more you do it, the more
I
that
think the
works.
reason I didn't do it though was because of the fact that I don't wanna have to start, you know, a whole picture over again.
Well,
So,
yeah,
You know,
yeah, that's true.
That was the thing.
But then you
know,
work on, but you can work on a little area and,
Well, yeah, now that I've seen it, yeah.
so it's
And I'll
really,
practice, you know,
a lot of it is understanding what your,
why you're doing it.
well, not only that, but the limitations and what your materials will do for you. Okay, trusting, you know, and you do that with experience. And again, you know, practice here, try that, you know, whatever, that works great. If it doesn't, then, you know, then try different. It's like, God, when I try to render trees with pencils, one thing it's, you know, painting it, you know, snap-ish. But doing the you know, with the pencil or charcoal or whatever, you know, you're
Yeah.
you know, if you can look up drawings of trees from all the way back, you know, centuries or whatever, and you'll see a lot of different kinds of trees. You'll see, you know, people who have the same questions that you do. You know, how do I do this? How do I render this? How do I do the leaves? And, you know, that sort of thing. And it's all part of the fun.
As they say, it's not a piece of art until you say it is. Until then, it's just a piece of paper. So you shouldn't be afraid to go ahead and touch your paper because it's only paper. It becomes art when you say it does. So it maybe makes it a little bit more relaxing because you know that you haven't given it permission to be.
Yeah, after a couple of cocktails, it's all right.
That's the problem, right?
Yeah. Which makes sense. How do you all feel about the anatomy of parts of the, you know, like the face and
I feel pretty good at that.
okay. So I just wanted to show you just a few things. Just go over, and if you feel good, because I've sent out some images, and we got these.
So what's this handout here? This that you
It was
projected?
just my book.
Right, yeah, out of her book.
Oh, I see.
Maureen copied these for us,
I
and
see.
they're really helpful. They're, you know,
Cool,
they're really good. And
I don't know, it's old.
Drawing faces. Cool.
No, I came across it. Oh, wow. I haven't had a chance to read it, so. So are you gonna do buildings or?
yeah, we are. So if everybody is good on you know, eyes and so forth.
Well, and if not, the instructions that you gave us are clear enough to where we can go back and certainly, you know,
Well,
evaluate what you said.
yeah. Just let me.
That's because you brought your whole house with you.
I did.
You need
Um,
to-
So do you spend a lot of time practicing on newsprint, large newsprint like that? Is that a practice medium?
Hard to rate.
Yeah, you know, if you are doing like figure work, for example, that's great paper to, you know, to kind of, you know, to work with. You know, doing real quick sketches.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, you can. I'll use them for that. You know, using you know, 30-second, you know, gestural drawing. Yeah, I mean, that's what I tend to do. Okay, so the images that you have here, there are some pictures in here, I think, of the eye to kind of look at. And if you understand the anatomy, then great. just, just a few things, the shape of the eye. This, of course, is the tear duct, lacrimal. And it is an eyeball, right? And so whenever you're drawing your eye, this corner of the eye tends to be lower, okay? It just depends on the person. And then this usually is a little bit higher here, that shape right there. And so the light's kind of coming down like this. Light's actually coming from over here. Here's a little highlight that I have. This sort of thing. The tear duct catches light. It's usually slightly glistening, so a little bit of highlight right there. And so the light, and this, of course, is the upper eyelid. Eyelid is covering the eye. The eyelashes kind of come out from underneath here. The lower eyelid is usually pretty visible. You see that right here. And then the eyelashes are down here. The iris, again, through observation, depending on how and where the eye is, it's I got another drawing here. I would have my students draw the eye, when I was teaching in school.
So when you were in school, that was it science and art together?
No, but these are my art classes.
Wow, that is really.
Yeah, and so when we were launching into the portrait, I would have them, do a big drawing of the eye, this sort of thing. And they like big eyes. And you put these up in the display case, you've got all these eyes looking. And so the eyes are critical in a portrait. And taking extra time and really looking and getting those eyes just right. And that's what I've said in my when I'm doing a portrait, that I focus on those eyes and I get them right. And then they go from there. Okay. So I'm not going to spend a whole lot of extra time on this because I want to move on to the things that we're doing, and I want you to be drawing. I want to give some time now for you to work. I come around and look at what you're working on and give critique and ideas. And then what I would like to do is I want to then launch into perspective. Okay? Thumbs up on that? Everybody game on that? Okay. And I did send you an email to ask you to bring an image. Did everyone get that? Mm-hmm. I did bring some pictures of barns and castles and some things like that. So we don't have anything, but I do have that. We can work on that. I'd also wanted to do some things on landscape, and I have some images that you can refer to, but I think the best way to address landscape is to go out and do it. Sometime this fall, would any of you be interested in going out and doing some drawing? Out? Okay. All right. Good. So get some nice weather. Then we can go where I wanted for us to go today. At Joema is a wonderful place. There's lots there to see. That's where these this is where this is, right here. And also this one here. And I brought these in for perspective, to kind of give you an idea on perspective. We'll talk about that. And also mention to you about drawing birds and drawing some animals. Did you get that part? Did anyone bring a picture of a bird?
No, but I want to do a hummingbird.
Okay, cool. So I did bring with me some images of a couple things here of a barn owl. That if you want, I got plenty of these. And then this is also an image from Mount Joema. That if you wanted to use this or whatever you have. Okay, so right now I want to draw, and lucky for you, my voice is about gone.
Yeah, oh yeah, in fact, can I keep that so I have a reference and, well, of course, I'm gonna work on it now. Because most of mine is pencil, but I can see where I'm gonna have to use the charcoal in order to.
I'll put it. So that'll kind of give you an idea.
Yeah, well, yeah, it'll be a reference. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, because I can see where some ways that's easier to get the contour and all the shading for the face.
So, yeah, so what I'll have to do is, let's see what I'm going to do.
Okay.
The main thing is being the drawing line. When I look at it, it's pretty good. Look at it, looks like a
Yeah, I do have some dots, for my, and I can't, they won't erase out, but I guess that's just part of the beauty of drawing.
So the dots from-
Yeah, it was from my majoring.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so, and I tried erasing them out, I'm there.
Home Depot is a razor knife to do it.
Okay.
And then just use your,
Not seeing very well.
sandpaper.
Yeah, well, I probably,
Yeah, sandpaper.
one there, one there.
Okay.
And I tried to get them out, but then,
Well,
but I probably see them more
You're
than
gonna see
anybody
more
else, because I know they're there.
I don't see them. I was gonna say, if you wanted to use like an eraser like that, it's a really firm eraser.
Yeah, okay, well, I got it. In fact, I ended up getting one. Wouldn't be bad.
So I want to show you.
Oh, here it is, right here. I have this one, it's a little smaller than yours.
Okay. I want you to look at this. Looks really, really good. I think her eye is a little bit better. Good location.
So, do you think I need to bring it down that much?
Okay, so I look at, see this shape right here? And then, those look good. So that to me looks really good. I think if you brought this line down a little bit.
Okay.
You have
So since this is darker, can I just, add like, just make this a little bit thicker? Would that do it, or do I need to totally?
No, you can, so what I would do is I would, darken that.
Okay.
Kind of bring it down. And then you see where her eyelid is. See that right there? See that line right there?
Well, that does look better.
So that line kind of comes down like this. This is her eyelashes, and actually the line of her eye, right? And then that eyelid, upper eyelid. So it's gonna come down here. So it's gonna be, yeah, it's pretty good. I would bring this down, I would bring this down
Even more?
first. A little bit more, a little bit more.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Look at this, I want you to look where you see this shape.
Yeah, it's a little squarer than what mine is.
So yours is, when I look at this from here,
Mhm.
when I look at, this, where this is, it looks pretty good. This is over just a little bit far that way. So that could come up a little bit here. But I noticed that this distance from here to here is going to come, what's happening, it's a ball, right?
Mhm.
But circular. So that shadow, this shadow right here, is going to be, we have this much, we have more white here than we do here.
Mhm. We have, yeah, I can see, yeah.
So, bring that over. Now, this looks pretty good. I look at this shape here compared to that.
So basically, just kind of take this off.
That kind of comes up, yeah, there you go, there you go. And then that comes down there, so that comes down just like that, that angle. And then when you do that, then see where that, see this right here, that little, that upper line?
Yeah,
See that distance right there.
should be a little bit more.
But once you bring this down, I think if that line right there come down here, that might be lifted just a little bit. We'll do this first. I'm going to do this with that line right there, compared to that. And then kind of see, this kind of comes over here. And once you hit that, then this distance, it's close, it's pretty proportional. And then you see this distance right here. And I like to see that, this is a little bit, this goes down. And push down.
Let's see.
And one thing to do when I look at, something, I look at take all this in at once. Okay?
Mhm.
And I look at the angles. I look at, this kind of comes up here, kind of like you have, those are really good. And I look at this, just like you're doing. That kind of comes down here, it comes up like so. Right.
So when I change this though, then it's gonna, well, of course, this is
Well,
probably wider than what I have
But
anyway.
yeah, but see, that's in a good location. This is
Yeah.
pretty darn good.
Yeah,
So
okay.
I look at this, and then you got this shadow here,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And then that shadow, this shadow is a certain dimension, right?
Mhm.
It comes down to here,
Mhm.
right? And that comes down here, that looks pretty good here, where the mouth is. Then you come down here, now let's look at this right here. Look at have that angle of her chin.
Mhm.
You got that angle, I think it needs to be more here. And I think you have too much of this kind of coming out of that chin.
Okay.
If
So
you look at,
this-
if you compare it like this,
Yeah, mine's too circular.
yeah, and you want to have more of an angle.
So I'm gonna cut this off a little bit.
There you go. Yeah, see it, and you do it,
Mhm.
you do it,
I know, it's just amazing how much, just even an eighth of an inch, I mean, it's just like.
because when you're working with portraits,
Yeah.
because of, there's not, it's, I'm working on a tree. I think it's a little
Oh,
bit
yeah, no, it has to be
but-
more exact, yeah.
And especially, as something like this, it's pretty tough because she's kind of at an angle.
Mhm.
But those kinds of things, so you can get all that information. Now, if I had all this like here, and I got, my gosh, there's so much to do here. But if I kind of
I found sections is easier,
Yeah,
otherwise it's
and then,
overwhelming.
then this distance here, I can kind of eyeball.
Mhm.
That looks pretty good here. You see this distance from here to here?
Mhm.
See, I think it needs to come down some.
Okay. So, but the angle's still good, it just needs to drop down, right?
Yeah, so what it's doing, so it's coming down here. And you got this shape here. These,
Doesn't have to be much either, right?
Yeah.
Just about like that.
so you see her lips right here. This upper lip is good. And then you got the lower lip.
Mhm.
So that has a shape to it. So that shape kind of comes down here. You look at this, so that kind of goes like this and stuff. So you take all this, you look all at all of this, just like the language is looking great. It
Mhm.
really is. Okay, that shadow comes down here. So it comes down to about here. Just like this. But then you got that angle. So that angle kind of, more like in line with that, with the line on that.
So this isn't correct.
This is slightly up. So
But I mean, this line here that I just did.
yeah. So so in other words, so that kind of comes down that curve. The chin is I find really, it's pretty tricky to get it just right. I have a harder time with the chin than any other part of the foot.
Mhm.
To getting at.
Yeah, see, to me, that's the important part, because that's,
It is critical.
she has that cleft, and she really likes the
Well,
cleft, you
yeah,
know.
that's
so.
true, and you'll get that in there.
Mhm.
But that's a detail, that's a secondary detail. That shape right there is more important, even if you never saw that.
See, this is good, except for it's just not down far enough.
So kind of look at, now, there's another, it's looking really good, really good. So look at this shape here.
Mhm.
See that shape?
Mhm.
Kind of like you have it. Now notice that she's a little bit, this kind of comes in a little bit too much, I think. If you look at this shape right here, it's almost that one line there. What happens is there's a muscle here. It kind of comes out a little bit, kind of below where her mouth is here. So it comes out and curve. And this is also another one to look at like this. And look at it like that. Pretty good.
So this outer line is better.
And this is another way. So I noticed that her chin is, if I come out here like I've done,
Mhm.
that's relatively, and then it kind of comes out a little bit here. Right? So it goes, curve here, goes in ever so slightly, and then comes out because of that muscle,
Mhm.
and then comes down here. Now that angle, so I'm looking at it like this. Now I can take that angle. See that? See, when you take this in, let me show you. Okay. Now.
See, now, I kind of liked it better when it came in than what I just.
You want this, see where her chin,
Mhm.
that bone right there,
Mhm.
that kind of comes, see how it comes up there?
Mhm.
Right? So, I think it needs to come over more. I think this comes out, it's a little bit too much here. And then it comes out like right here, that, right there,
Okay,
that muzzle.
So we're eliminating, we're gonna use this line here,
Okay?
right?
Yep.
Okay. And then,
And then that comes, that angle, that line, you look, take all that in at once. It's pretty straight, is it not?
yeah, mhm.
Okay, so that's coming here,
Okay.
so that's gonna come in, because it's gonna be right, where that curve is, right about here, that's the middle of that curve. Kind of gives you an idea about where that is. Here's her nose.
Mhm.
Nose here, at the beginning of that curve is,
Right at the tip of your nose.
kind of right here. So that's where that is, so that kind of comes down. So it's gonna come in, I think, a little bit.
So, I guess so this needs, if it comes in and I lose that curve.
Well, okay, so it's gonna come in,
So this is.
I just
here,
think-
this-
I just
this-
think-
This line's going away. I think that's confusing. So that line's gone away.
Yeah, so you got ever so slightly, there's that curve there.
So that's what so when that goes,
And then that's what's gonna happen is, it's like, here's what it's doing. It's kind of going like. And then, because, this is kind of, hard to see, so it comes down to that like that. And then it comes down here, the sun goes in slightly, and then it comes.
so if I take this out, and then this needs to come, so it's right,
Good.
so it's right about here where it needs to come out just a teeny bit. That seems like a lot.
Well, maybe it is. Just kind of think about where you're gonna come down to. So I'm gonna come down to, if this is, I take all this in at once. See how that curve of the nose and then where this is? It's almost about, it's very little near. So it's gonna come.
So I'm taking this
It's
out,
not much, it's not much.
and I'm bringing this over.
And then what you can do is this, you can take it, look at it upside down. See how, I think it's looking
So
better.
this comes out a little bit,
This distance,
and it drops down a little bit more.
yeah, there you go.
So it's like that.
So you see this shape right here, that distance,
Mm-hmm.
right? This is that, her lips come to here, and there's a shadow right here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, shadow shape, that's going to come down. So that distance right there is really important. Because that's going to be the same proportion. With this.
Yeah.
Okay?
So this is, so from here to here, well, it'd be from here to here,
Okay?
what did I just do? From my lip, what did I just do? How weird.
So,
Yeah.
so,
Sorry.
so I can kind of, go like, well, let's see, this all over, nose, chin. Where's it going here? It come up here. And it's right about there. See that?
Mm-hmm.
So if I come over here, and go she's about there.
I think that's what I was trying to do.
See? So it doesn't need to come up much.
So now I need to come up, because I went down.
That's because I told you to.
I know. Actually, I do think it looks better, but I need to make the little curve there.
But make that, yeah, so that curve, again, just looking at this whole shape.
See, this seems to be more pointed than mine.
Yeah, but notice, but you see how this, so it's gonna come in just ever so slightly.
So I still need to come, oh, okay,
A
so
little.
maybe if
What
I
do you
just,
got? Good.
so like that.
Yeah,
So that's good. See, I think,
I think it's still out too far.
so,
Because if I look at, if it's, let me show you. Well,
so I need to come in here more,
so it's gonna,
but that seems too much. Wow.
well, what you can do is you can also take your eraser and kind of lift out. Just something that I'll do from time to time. Yeah, and then it curves in. Now let's take a look at it. So what do you think now?
Oh, I think it's better, I really do, but I just, this part, but then it's really hard to kind of see because of the way the shadows are.
Right.
So maybe,
And
Yeah.
then notice that this kind of curves here.
So I need to bring this
Like,
down
yeah,
too.
to make sure this distance right here, you can measure this. You know, I can kind of go like, like this, right? And it's about the same as that, right?
Yeah.
And then that comes to here, or it's like, or right here. I can use different places to measure. Right there. The distance is about the same as that, right? So
Okay,
from
so-
here,
Yeah.
from here to here, it's about that far. That's about that same.
Okay,
So
so
we're
on
drawing.
here, yeah, okay.
So that's gonna be,
That seems to be good. That's pretty good.
okay. I think these come down some. You use the word
Pretty good.
pretty good.
Yeah, okay. So, but it's not much, it's just like a,
That's right. It isn't much.
okay, so how's that then? Oh, here, take away.
So this kind of comes along here. This to me, I think, is it starts to
Kind of just fades away,
well,
doesn't
but
it?
yeah, but see what happens is it's what it starts to do. It starts right here to go up. Here's the corner of the mouth, so it begins to kind of go up. So it's a curve. It's not a that's pretty straight. There's some ever so slight curve. It's not bad. But look at this. See how that kind of comes down?
Mhm.
Almost probably have there. And then curves. Just like that. Yeah, I think it's actually looking pretty good.
Okay, so then this comes. Oops.
Okay.
All right, well, thank you.
Yes,
So
okay.
now I'm kind of ready for the hair.
So yeah, try that. So you have that for reference.
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Okay. Whew, jeez. That's intense.
So you get a full workout just trying to do a portrait.
Yeah.
There you are.
Well, like, one of them was kind of put into perspective.
Oh, very good, very good. So we look at your portrait.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Me. We'll leave it there. Okay, now let's look at her, your reference here, as far as the eyebrows. Those eyebrows are straight across. So this distance right here is that far. Kind of comes down here. But these are, if her tear ducts are pretty much the same, across from each other, her eyebrows should be the same. So what do you need to do? Right.
You can get a pencil.
Yeah.
That's just right under here, I like there, one of these here. The new eraser on it, there we go. Down along. Okay, let's remove this back.
Okay.
Try this again.
Now let's, before we do that, that eyelid right here, which comes down to like that right there, like you have it. Now go ahead and put that in. There you go. Just like you're doing, right?
Not too hard, not too hard. Okay, so it's there and it's established now, okay?
Now, then, so you got hers over here, same thing. We're going to, let's do something, let's have a seat. All right. So these, this, I think, what you see what's happening here. So this, a slight, it kind of angles down. So it's kind of angling down here. Okay.
There.
All right. Now, notice. Take a look at it. See where? So her right here is where her lateral is.
Right there.
Right there. Yeah. So her eyelid comes down.
Anatomically, yeah.
Yeah, it's good. Exactly. Beautiful. Okay, that's what it's doing. Now, good. That kind of comes up. Now, you see this kind of curve, so that it's not, there's not, I see an angle there. But I want to see the angle. I want to see this coming over about kind of have where you have it. So what's happening, if you look at her, you look at, here, okay, so here's her. Okay, so, and then that like more is dust. Now, so it's right, it's kind of like, it's kind of angling down there, so it's because of the anatomy, right? And then it kind of comes up like this. So I'm going to look at this whole, at that whole curve. Kind of like, just like, yeah, is this, I'm actually looking at it. So that kind of curves like so.
Now, the distance between the edge of the eye here, we talked about this last week. I went home and worked on this like 10 times and it kept coming out the same.
Okay, all right.
So I'm
So-
obviously missing this interpretation of what you see.
Okay, so that right there, this,
Yeah.
right? So I got that, and that comes down. What it does is if you look at the, you know, if eye, what's happening is it seems to be the configuration of the eye. Right? It's highest in the middle. And then as you get closer to the edges, it tends to be a little bit closer to, yeah.
This comes over.
Okay, and then what this does is this is, it's going to be a little bit more of a straight, I would say it straightens. Yeah, there you go. And that's kind of, okay, now, so now that you have that, right, you need this side over here. I see that her other eyelid
The
is
big
gonna be,
distance in there.
it's gonna be, it's like, this kind of comes over here, her nose kind of comes down like this, and here's her.
This has to go up, right?
So, as that kind of comes over here, and here's this right here, you know, like this, and I'm gonna, you see that line is gonna be the same thing, it's at an angle, so it's gonna be this. So, look at the height of this. And look at it, so at the angle, when it comes over like this, so her eye, the distance between, say, the top of her eye and the eyelid. Okay, kind of look at that, you know, so it's that high. So this is her eye, this is right up there, like you have it. Now if I bring this up, her eyelid, this eyelid over here is going to be, oh, yeah, it's going to be higher. It's going to be.
I can see that, okay. I see that up to about right here.
So what I'll do is I'll do this, right? So I go, okay, so it's like that line, this line, her pupils are in that same line. These are the same line. All these things, because it's such a confined area, shape, they're going to be pretty much the same. So you want everything, and then where her eyebrow. Okay. All right. Now, okay, that looks better. That kind of take your. This is a little bit still too much of an angle right there. So take your eraser. You have like a.
I do, like this.
Okay.
Okay.
So in other words,
Okay.
no, wait, no. This right here. See that coming up? That comes up too much. Make this more of. Wait, right up above it.
Oh, well, and then it reached the bottom below it.
So this, but wait a minute. This, that is the curve. See the curve?
Yeah.
Okay, see it? That curve is just like you have right now. It's just, I just noticed this, yeah, so, yeah, see that line right there?
Yeah,
So erase that.
that line is horizontal.
Oh, exactly.
I see that, yes.
Yeah, there you go. All right, perfect. Now, draw this line in,
Yep.
which is that upper eyelid,
Yeah.
and curve it in. There you go, perfect. Beautiful. And then this is going to be shaded. Now look, let me show you something. You see the relative thickness of her, she has lots of her eyelashes are pretty. Yeah, so that thickness that's going to come down. This is all eyelashes. This right here, let me show you. Right here. So you see,
From here to here.
um,
So that makes that, you're seeing the underside of the upper eyelid.
actually you are seeing some of that. So it's going to be thicker. There you go. There you go. That's yes. Okay. Now, and then darken in right here a little bit of her lacrimal right there. No, just for fun. Erase out a little bit of this right here. Okay. Now, you're erasing what you're doing, just right there, to where it's not joined here. So see how? So in other words, like
There's
this.
a reflection in there or something.
Yeah, you see how?
Right there.
Yes. Okay, now, this coming across here, that distance from here to here is going to be roughly the same as from here to here. So here to here.
Okay, so that has to go up.
Yeah,
below.
so that little bit of curve here, because you got the, her eyelashes are thick, but they're curved around her eye.
And I was blown, yeah. So this has to be elevated up, this upper.
Yeah, look at this, take all this in at once. So you see how this is gonna elevate, see how much it's like?
Yes, it is, yeah. Well, let's mark it in first and erase what we don't want. Let's look at it. Yeah, I see that, yeah.
You see what I'm talking about?
Yeah, now I see it. I can't believe
That's okay, that's all right. The main thing that I want you to because
Yeah.
it's a tricky drawing to begin with. She's looking down, angle, all these things. But again,
Now take in the whole thing in the eyeliner.
but to remember this, that this distance Those are her pupils. From here to here, I mean, from here to the top of where her, where the eyelashes begin, they're pretty much the same. From here, from the eyelashes, the thickness of the eyelashes up to her eyelid is pretty much the same. Okay? Same thing with going to her eyebrows. Pretty much the same. Those things you get.
If you look at this right there, it's an asymmetry to me. It's not
Okay.
symmetrical.
Okay. All right. So let's take a look at this. So we're starting with the top of her, the darkness of her eyelashes. Okay. Come to about there. Now I grant you this. Grant you this. Now we can look at it like this. You see now I'm at the top of the eyelashes. Now I do notice. What do you notice about her eyelids?
This one looks more puffier here than it is here.
Okay. What I see this. It's pretty darn close though. I mean, this again, these are pretty close. The height of her eyelids, these right here, are pretty close here. What you end up having is, this is in shadow. Okay, so that's slightly shadow. Not bad, but that's fine. You can use your blender. Where's the blender?
So I got blenders in the bucket here. I got ones over here. Let's see where I got it. I gotta get into my pocket.
I have one here.
Right here. It's over there. Oh, it's over there. Oh, it's over there. No, I don't.
You and I have a lot of common.
No, it's lost. No.
Okay, perfect.
No.
So, this as much as this is charcoal, correct?
Most of us are.
Okay. So you notice go ahead and just for fun, you see that the thickness of her eyelashes, that's tone is what it is. I don't really see with this photo, I don't see individual necessarily the eyelashes. I just see this depth, that thickness. Okay? So take your pencil, you got your pencil like this, your right hand. And then just sort of, you can take it and you can, like that. And notice how it angles down this way, right? Go ahead. And then it angles down here. That looks good. This one angle there. See that kind of sharp? It's almost like a point. Just look at the wide area. Okay, this has a little bit of hump. Bring that down.
Bring that down more.
There you go. There you go. Even more, that thing, it's what it is. It's like that. So I see this kind of comes down. It's almost like a line. Right there. Okay. Okay. All right. Now, good. Now over here. Go ahead and you see where her
Same idea.
Same idea, because those are her eyelashes.
I don't draw eyelashes in, I use shade.
No,
shade
because it's just tone, it's a certain thickness of tone. Now, these look pretty good. Now, let's look at, now her eyebrows, okay? But you get what I'm talking about.
Yeah, now, the thing is, look at the overall, I have such a difficult, I must not be seeing it, there's something not right. Well, I look at this and it doesn't, I
Okay,
I can't see it.
then
There's, yeah.
and what we do is,
There you go now.
now, you have a way, and that's a very good point. You're showing me that.
What?
You have, she's way over here.
Yeah.
Bring her over here. Now, that way, now let's see, let's just for fun, I see what she has, her pupils are, there's a lot of light coming, she has really, ton of light, irises and so forth. So just for fun, go ahead and you have can you see that pupil right there?
Yes,
Okay.
right there.
So it's down, if I look at, let me show you.
I just touched it right.
And yeah, that's about right. That looks pretty darn good. So it's going to be, so bring it, it's going to be closer to this side, that way. Just ever so slightly. And you can, there you go. And then maybe take your blender, and then just kind of
That's,
touch it a little bit.
bring it this way.
Yeah, that's pretty darn good. I see a little bit of shadow right here. Okay, all right. Now, you see the curve of her iris?
Yeah.
Okay. So what you want to do is that thing comes straight down. I want that curve over. So just take your eraser. And just don't worry about your pencil. Let me get something for you. I want you to try this. Grab this. Take this thing. Notice, see that?
Oh, boy, yeah.
So we talked about that slight, ever so slight curve, because the iris is, in this case, because she's looking down, it is slightly elliptical, right?
So this is going to have more taken off the bottom edge there.
Can you see how this? Look at it like this. You see how it curves?
It's a nice eye shape.
Yes.
Okay. So you take this eraser
We're going to remove,
and yeah.
Yeah, well,
remove this back into
Your lips are much better.
yeah,
Yes.
well, and that's
See,
what he said to do.
No.
see the control you have with something like
my
that?
tools are.
Okay, we're all good. So, we did it just a little bit.
Doesn't go
So
back.
we're going to go back to pencil, touch this back
So
on.
make it curve that right there. There you go. It curves. There you go. Or you can even, not too bad.
See where the curve is?
Oh, I see what you're
If you
saying.
go down from here, if you go down from here, this is back just.
All right.
That's what I see.
Okay. Now, let's do that.
Yeah, yeah, I
Now, let's look at the, so I have, so what I'll do is this. I see
Yeah.
this shape.
That's what I see.
I
Yeah,
look
that-
and I'm
yeah.
Yeah, I kind of
okay.
do too.
So I see this, because what is proportion?
So from the top of this right here, up.
Okay, so what I do is this, I go, so I see that this does this. here is this, comes up to here, just kind of look and see what I'm doing. And I notice that this shape comes all the way past where her lateral is to about here. Okay, I'll put a little line
I
there.
don't think my neck's not long enough either.
And then, so this comes up here, and then I will, just for fun, I'll just go ahead and,
Oh, yeah.
there's different ways of doing it, but I can just draw in that relative thickness slightly, ever so lightly, it comes over here,
Yes.
and then,
I think my
I
shadow
want to know
is probably the best
this,
that I can do.
where it's right above.
That's where you are right now, yeah.
Why that?
Right, exactly, so in fact, I can go ahead and put, since I know that it is, the highest point of her eyebrow is right about above here, right? So then I'll go like this, and go, well, it's right about there.
They go from here up to here.
Exactly. And I just put a little point there. That's the highest that it's going to
That's
be.
the top of it.
So, and you notice this right here, you notice this shape. This shape right here, that flesh part of her eye, right, is right about in here, and it kind of comes up like this, like so.
Approximately.
Now, I would start, not the top part,
The bottom.
but let me show you why. I can measure this distance right here. I can look at that shape, and it's about like this right here. You see what I'm talking about?
Okay, from here to here.
From here to about there.
That's what I guess.
Yeah, right about there.
Right.
So I can put a little line there, and then I can make this roughly this shape. That's what the eyebrow basically is. And it comes up here, and then so it's a little bit. It's almost like a straight line. Kind of goes like this. So, and I noticed, and then this is, and then once I got my straight line in there, what I've done is I've located the basic shape. Now there's other parts of that shape that I'm going to kind of modulate a little bit, make it a little bit bulgier, but it's basically that angle, like that. Okay.
It goes up to here.
Yep. And then it comes up. So the top of her, and I also would look at this. I'll eyeball that distance from here to here. Okay. So her, it's going to come out. It comes to, if I drop a line like that, I go, okay, well, or like this.
And the line goes up to here.
Yeah, it's slightly, if I do like this, it's slightly in front of the lateral. It's right about here. If I go, like in line with her face, with her face. Okay? All right. Well, that's gonna, so right about, that's pretty good. And that comes up to about here, kind of like you have, and that comes up, so it comes up to right about here. So that is going to come up further to here. Okay? See this shape right here? So this is, here's this is right here. Okay?
Like
And this
so
is
when
going
I
to
saw
come.
that and then
it's-
just
this is
ignore it. Shows
back here.
completely
It drops.
ignore
If I drop a line, it comes down to about here. Right about here. That's going to be it's going to come to about here. So that line, that eyebrow is going to come to straight, just like you have, just like you do. Not this. Don't worry about that. Okay, that's because that was a little high. This thing is going to come down slightly. This distance right here. Look at that distance right there.
From here to
From here, no, from the top of her eyelid. Or you can measure. You can kind of look at that. That distance. But from here to here.
this is white. This is about from here to here. This is about
This is almost in the middle here, slightly. This is slightly higher. Yes, there you go. There you go. Okay, that looks pretty good. So it's going to come to about. I look at again. here's her iris, right? Her iris is right here, so if I brought all the lines of her iris up, it would come to about here. Well, I noticed that her eyebrow comes down even further. This is coming up here, so that looks pretty darn good. This is gonna be, that kind of comes down here. That looks pretty good. So it's gonna be this shape right here.
Take a little bit off.
See,
front of
so
it,
it-
and then right
So it has that kind of shape. And this, you know, right. And then once I have, then I can kind of go, I can erase out, well, you know.
Okay, so let's.
You don't have to put it all in. Yeah.
Okay, now how about the next one down there? How's that?
Now, so that comes down, that looks pretty darn good. So it's gonna come to, well, look at this right here.
How much the extension?
So how far does it go? Well,
It
it-
goes past the edge of that,
Yeah,
right?
it sure does. So it comes down, if,
This right here?
yeah, so yeah, exactly. So it comes down to, yeah, right about there. And that angle, so that's gonna come down a little more. Yeah, notice, it, so it comes,
Further down, this is out of there and down a little further. There.
yeah, there you go, there you go.
It comes, has to come down here.
Okay, all right, good, all right.
Now,
So then this will, then you're coming up to about here, and then it drops down. So that, like that, right, so you go up, and then you go down. But you kind of look at it, I look at it upside down, let's look at it upside down, so fun. See what it does, it kind of curves, you know, slightly up. All right. There you go. Okay, now just for fun, go ahead and shade it in. And what I would do, yeah, go ahead and use your pencil. Let me do some.
there you go.
Yeah, there you go. Let's just, let me see this for a second. Let me, can I sharpen this?
Whatever, yeah, sure, do it.
Okay, just take a look at this. It's looking a lot better, I think. Got your sandbar?
Yeah. I can find it much. It's in the black stuff
I'll take it, and I'll, put my finger here, because
there. You didn't break it, yeah.
That's what it is. And then what I'll do is I'll take that, I have some, piece of paper here.
Whatever. Yeah, all kinds of history here. What do you want to do with it?
All I want to do is
Here, just on here.
yeah, okay, is that scratch? Sure. And I'll take it and I'll curve it as I go.
My gosh. So now you really got
So now what I can do is I can take take it and I can kind of. I have more control.
So we're gonna use this guy to change this dimension. This right in, first of all, we're starting in the corner here, doing shadow here.
You got that. Let's, so what you're gonna do, you go ahead and just for fun, so what has to happen over here?
This from here to here, this dimension.
That's a certain dimension,
Yeah.
but the main thing is that it is at the same height. So it's gonna be up, it's gonna come up. So you can do this, right? You can take this and you can kind of go, well, this is kind of like, so listen to this right here. If I take my pencil and kind of go like this, I'll notice that the height here kind of strikes over here.
So the top of this and the top of this.
Yeah, so they're going to be pretty much on it. And then I'll also look at, see that shape right there? Just take all this that whole size and dimension. And then this right here, they're going to be about the same, aren't they? Right?
Is that too light?
Looking pretty good. And just then you're going to that shape, see how it kind of comes down and right, kind of like you have here, and then it goes up here slightly.
This is definitely empty in here.
Yeah, so the fleshy part of her eye,
Right in there.
right.
There.
They have their eyebrows. Women's eyebrows will kind of come over slightly.
Okay, so now, this is getting closer here, right? Right in there.
Yes. What do you think?
I'm looking at,
To me, yeah.
that looks, but there needs
So-
to be shading in here.
So so forget that for just a second, because you can take your brush or something like that, and you can kind of
But these, now are these across like this?
yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. So that, just look at how this kind of comes up here. So this angles down. This eyebrow angles down. Well, this one's going to angle down too. It's going to angle down slightly less, and then it comes up here. If you remember, the configuration of the eyebrow is this goes up here and then it angles down. So that's kind of what's going to happen here. That's what you don't see quite as well here because of the shadow.
This goes up. Is that what you're saying?
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
Okay, and then this one.
That looks good. So darken that in. This to me is slightly higher than it should be. That is right. See, that thickness was a little,
Okay.
so you take it, Do you have any of these?
No, but I'll sure lessen on maybe I'll. Oh, okay.
So you can take those and you can actually sand them and you can shape them and they're really handy.
Okay, so now let's get this out.
Now, so you see what you're doing, and you're also seeing that by having your reference close, you can move it around. And then this shadow here, that shadow. So I take all this in. I notice this shadow. Good location here. It's a little darker. It should be a little darker than you have it. So I would use. Yeah, maybe use your blender or use a brush.
How about a brush and some stuff on it?
Yeah, there you go, try that.
Okay, all right.
But see the shadow here? Kind of like you have this over here. So that's tone, so that tone is going to, tones like that. So same thing over here. Because that's even more shadow, because all the highlight, if you see this, see that little area there? That's your highlight.
On the,
Absolutely. Because the light's coming down here, the light goes over here sort of, because you see the highlight right there. That's really weird lighting on it. But anyway, you see the difference?
Yeah, I really appreciate you showing this. I don't know how,
It's okay, don't worry about that.
I do, but it's like, wow, I kind
But I see a major difference.
okay, well, good, I appreciate that, thank you.
You know, and what I see
Let's stay with you.
is I see that this is so important. It's so important to get that shape done.
Hey, you guys, we got success over in this corner. Oh my God.
Yes.
I mean, it absolutely, I'm sorry to brag, but I mean, this is.
Here, go look.
I mean, the thing is, but you see what I mean?
Very
And
excuse-free.
it's such a feeling of, God, I can't believe this is possible.
Yeah.
And I started this course, I had no idea.
Oh, yeah, that looks
I
great.
mean, we're still a little bit wide, but anyway. Getting the eyes like that, oh, Chris is really got it.
There's something about the man who just has a thing about teaching, huh?
No.
Even if you've taken his class, you're gonna do the same thing I am, aren't you? And you're gonna keep going back.
I would, if I get a chance, if there's gonna be another.
It's just,
This is the kind of stuff that you just you can't buy it, you gotta live it, can't you? You can't get
Oh,
a
yeah.
buy one off the wall.
well, it's just, you know,
Get in there.
that's just the thing. Yeah,
Oh, man, this is
but
something.
it really makes it, because it's a tough drawing.
Yeah.
You know, none of you all are doing these really easy drawings.
I know. And now you see it off so much when you put the shadows.
Yeah, I gotta
Yeah,
get it.
nobody told us.
This right here, what he talked about, over and over.
Yeah, no, that's really great.
Keep on doing it, it's popping, it just, look
Start.
at those eyes, because those eyes were starting to just get mesmerizing. You know, and she has beautiful eyes.
Well, thank you,
Yeah,
thank
it
you,
is,
thank you.
yeah.
But the idea is a challenge of the flat surface.
Well, yeah.
Trying to make it look
You know,
3D.
getting
Oh,
those,
yeah.
basic, getting those
Thank you.
shapes,
Thank you.
getting those shapes, and then the fun part is
So just
You
enjoy it.
know,
Just
really
enjoy it.
Chris.
Thank you.
I know.
There are a lot of pieces out there, but they just don't have.
Oh, I know, but.
You have a special little talent that no one, I have taken a lot of classes, and you were my favorite teacher out of all of them.
Very sweet, thank you. Thank you. I understand about conveying, and
Well, I mean,
if it's not, if something's not conveyed,
she
and
has
I
a
know
lot
that
of
I've also
influence.
learned is that over time, people will come to you.
Oh, yeah, no, yeah, yeah.
You'll get through. It may not be
Yeah,
what I was
because like today,
prepared
I
at
was
the time, what I was
Oh,
learning
yeah.
and teaching, and was told, but you contributed to
For
it.
example.
But you guys are very teachable, you know, and, anyway, so.
Well, and the lessons will come later.
This is,
It's hard, it's intense, isn't it?
yeah,
It is.
it's work,
It
it's
is.
really
Yeah.
work. I mean, it's for me, I don't know, I'm partially blind when I write. That's one thing that kind of probably makes the
Yeah.
differential.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
regardless,
wrestling
I
is
can
insane.
still do it.
Yeah, the accomplishment is amazing.
Well, it's
Yeah, because I was looking at wrestling,
it's the,
and she pretty much, stays the same.
yeah, but you guys, you're hanging in there, and.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, there's a reason, I've said this, I always say this, there's a reason I call it hard work.
It is work.
It is, there's no question about it.
But look at the drawings of.
Thanks so much. That's what a.
But you.
I see that now, I'm gonna go home and
Oh, you did
shade very gently with.
Did you try doing it dirty?
And powder.
Oh, did you try that? You
Yeah.
tried it?
Very, is this,
Yeah.
this has to be.
So, yeah, so that's telling you, you can do that, you can use your finger a lot.
Yeah, and if I can chamois the lips, if I get too much, I can chamois it out.
I just,
So just all the things, yeah, jam or red.
I can check it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
started pulling
And then
some
you also
off.
notice that the
Adding
ground
a little bit of
slightly,
brightness here, there hasn't really done a whole lot of
slightly,
work.
slightly,
But this, you can
because
see
of the
that's
lighting.
gonna be
But that's from pulling
Well, it
it
is
off,
there.
but you take it and you do the
Yeah,
razor.
but it needs to be.
And
Cool,
you-
Chris.
Well,
That's cool.
I'm
Yeah.
I really.
Yeah, you learn things in this
Yeah,
over.
that's,
but again,
how are we doing time?
no, we're, I'm gonna go over and help.
For goodness sakes, yeah. Again, thank you, Gary. You know,
But
That's,
well
that's,
worth its struggle.
yeah.
gotta take a break.
Oh, I know, it just amazes me how much just this little.
These erasers,
Makes a big difference.
this is, I know they have these on, Wix.
Okay, a blick is called a razor.
Well, it's just, you know,
Now,
erasers.
I think your next step is
You
to
can-
start.
you have a
working
camera
on
for this?
Yeah, I could just
Yeah.
take a picture of it, and take a photo, and don't worry about writing something. I turned this thing off and I didn't want to talk about it.
You get your shadow around your mouth there and it's just gonna
Okay, so
really
we got a
pull it
picture
around.
of this,
That's
whatever
good.
it is, so the angle of it.
Your eyes, I've been reading on your eyes and
I don't think so. Is it called a razor, eraser?
I don't know what it is, it's just that you can sharpen it like that, but you can click it.
Like we were just talking, we've got a,
Thank you.
she's the same deal, of course.
Oh, is she?
Yeah, you see, look it's just amazing.
Sure.
And this is just a very small sample,
Yeah,
but.
go to, get Blix, or go to Blix.
I got
Look
one.
at the
There,
erasers
she's
and.
there.
Oh, wow, it's just whatever.
There,
she's there.
Found or not,
Yeah, it
yeah.
depends on how she feels.
Beautiful, either way.
Yeah, so she's always.
I just,
Or
yeah, I mean, I don't know what else to do.
Arts
with
and
it.
crafts
I just
and,
think maybe, unless he tells me to do something else, I just feel like.
Well, that's
I
You
good.
know, if you're happy, why would you wanna mess with it, you know? Sometimes that's the biggest step, is to say when to stop. You know, cause otherwise,
Yeah, I don't know.
you could overwork something like crazy.
So unless you say to me, I need to do something else here, I wouldn't know what else to do.
Okay. Beautiful. Nice job.
Thank you.
Nice job.
Thank
It
you.
really is. That's just really amazing. You darken that, that's good. Wow. So, I want you to squint right here,
Okay.
okay? Now, what comes forward, what goes back?
See, now we have riddles.
We've done that. Okay. Right here. Well, her nose comes forward. The little one's
The
nose.
little one's nose. And
Yeah.
what about, look at her forehead.
See, Ray's bringing in bones.
So, now what I'm talking about is something ever so slight.
Okay.
So, you see that highlight there.
I do. I've struggled with that.
Okay, so, this, right that little area right in between there
Uh-huh.
is going to have a little bit of tone. Right in there.
Are we talking about on her forehead or in that
I'm
space
talking
between the
the
two of
space in
them?
between.
Okay.
So in other words, let's take a look at this. So you see that edge there.
Mm-hmm.
What the tone is doing is the tone is kind of coming up to it.
How's that?
Now I want you to compare.
Still doesn't look right. But of course in this you can't even see it. So I'm wondering if maybe I should just
I
darken
want you to
it.
compare
Let's just take this one.
the tone in the reference and your drawing.
Well, it's not, I need to make it better.
Which one's darker? Now where I'm speaking of is right here.
Do you think that's still more darker than this?
What do you think?
Yeah.
You tell me.
He said that's.
Okay. Okay, right here, right up here.
Yeah, right there. You can, I mean, if you look at it, I can look at it like that,
Uh-huh.
and then I can take my, come
Yeah,
on.
there is there
Yeah.
too.
So I can kind of go like,
Look at me straight on.
Okay.
See what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So,
Well,
again, knowing that, then you're working like this.
Talking about, you know, and
You have your reference, and there's nothing wrong with holding your reference right there, right next to it, to compare the value.
Camp Golden Road.
Oh, okay.
So by darkening
Okay, I've been on this beach.
that,
We went there last year and had some fun air there.
So this, and this.
you see the highlight back here. What's happening is that the light's going to come through
It's just the dirty trick.
filtering back through here,
It's his
getting,
dirty
so it's
trick.
making that
I just took it
a
and
little
used
bit of a
it.
highlight there.
Uh-huh.
But this is to me is a brighter highlight, although if it's pretty close, but these half tones in here cause this
And then you just
to,
rub it in and then you just kind of push, use your thumb to push and shake.
I mean, you want this to come
It's-
forward.
Works like a champ.
So for that to
It
come
does.
forward, that
There's
highlight
so
right
many
there,
tricks
that
you can
highlight,
do.
this
When you're
highlight, this
trying to do
highlight, this
hair,
highlight, all this
when
right
you're,
here,
when you're pulling on
that
hair
right there,
like
these
that,
are all the same, pretty close same
try
value.
doing it with the dirty trick,
That
because if you get so
is-
much more
Notice that is going to,
Yeah.
so it's going to be slightly darker, just ever so slightly,
Practice.
right?
Oh,
So darken this right here,
Well, look at you.
forehead,
I mean, it's,
okay?
it really
We'll make
feels
that.
good, doesn't it?
And then this right
At
here,
that point,
see that,
you feel like
see that?
you made it.
See how darker highlights are, her eye is?
Uh-huh.
You see that, how that shadow kind of comes
I
up
know,
back
I
here?
love it, 'cause, yeah.
So I tried to get that
When
in
you
there.
get to
I
the
think
point
that
where
would
you
be
think you could frame
useful
it,
to be
it's like,
darker.
oh, okay.
Well, what do you think?
And then this was plain.
So in other words, if I'm, because I look at this, I stand back and I kind of look at
Uh-huh,
it.
uh-huh.
So I see that, I even look at it like this. See, it's almost like a U,
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
continuous,
Okay.
not broken, continuous. Now, I have it like this. Okay. So that to me is going to come up, that shape. You can look at it like this. See how it's kind of curved like that? So that is going to come up a bit more.
Okay.
Okay. That will read, because right now, because the light's coming here and that shadow, I mean, this is beautiful. That's right on. Everything, the drawing's excellent. Okay? But those little things that you add, this right here, that shadow right there will make a difference too.
So I could go in with like this guy on the edge,
Okay?
and then use my brush to pull back.
Yep. So what I would do
Yeah.
is I would take this and I would, you're left-handed?
I'm left-handed, so that's
Okay.
kind of an awkward angle.
Well,
But this would
okay,
be,
no,
this
that's
would be good.
perfect. That should be pretty easy. So you're going to bring it, and here's your reference.
Yeah.
You can kind of see what it's doing here. See that tone kind of comes back. Yeah.
So how far down would you bring it? I mean, I've got
Well,
it.
I
so
think that's too
I
much.
see, you got,
I think this is too much white.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I mean, it is darker. That there's some kind of a line right there.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Ever so, slight line. Not a real dark line. Just a
Yeah.
little bit more tone than perhaps you have it. There you go. But you see this right here? See this? See that?
Uh-huh. Yeah. So I've got it in there, but darker is
It's
better.
I think so.
Okay.
Now look what
Well,
you-
I looked,
See, so
I
what-
would struggle to try to make this stand out. And, because it's the flesh tone versus the kind of the off-white
That's right.
behind is.
Well, that's true. That's true. Yeah, there you go. There you go. And see how that you got the this the form what's the light's doing. It's kind of coming along here, it's illuminating this slightly, and then you got that shadow right there. So I would use a one of these. Hold on. Use that. So that's a filbert, and what that
Okay.
does is it let me show you if I could. Well,
Yeah, thanks.
you know, so take it and you. Anyway, you can get it to be more softer than I'm like.
Okay. Yeah, because I end up with lines with this
That's,
one.
yeah, so you get, try one.
Okay.
Yeah. Kind of like what you did really, I mean, like that right there, that's really amazing. I mean, these
I
things.
did that with this.
Well, then you can do that. You can try that. You can use your blender. But see how it comes all the way over here, and now I get a little bit of tone right there. On that.
Okay.
How you doing?
Am I ready to move on?
Okay, let's take a look. So this is what, okay. We got our lower eyelid. Come down here. That's what we did. That is not bad.
See, she's got, yeah, this is white on
Uh-huh.
there,
Yeah. So what you're that I would use so you got this for your nose, just the, I would use one of these, like this is this build, yeah. So I can use anything here.
I have nothing that's.
Okay. Okay, I think that in just a moment, what I'd like to do is talk about perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And so what I'd like us to do is to take a moment and seem to have dry weather outside, and bring a drawing pad and a pencil. And in just a moment, you keep working. And we go out and I want to show you some things with our building. This class needs to be an hour longer.
You know, you do that every time you teach a class, you just keep putting more and more of yourself out there.
But you see how it's.
Just in one day, isn't it amazing how things just.
Do you plein air paint in oil, or what do you apply?
Usually watercolor or
Your
paper or acrylic, yeah, because oil is just so messy to try to take out.
What kind of eraser do
I'm
you
still
need?
committed to it. I know it's a discipline, but well, we're gonna go outside here and see what these are.
So you
So,
really commit yourself, you just stick your pen out and you do it.
It's looking pretty good.
You can't
It really
erase it.
is.
Yeah.
I just, make yourself do it. That's what I used to think, that was
This to
2017.
me,
I had a stroke since then, I've done other stuff. The thing is, you don't keep doing them, you come back and do more.
Okay.
Well, there's nothing wrong with that. Okay, I'm gonna go outside and see what the foreground do. Some kind of a sketchbook here.
so if I measure that, the length right there, just for example.
Do I compare it with this side?
That's all. That distance right there,
That doesn't look like different.
and is what about, yeah, that's, an eyebrow. That's the lower eyelid. Is like that. That's gonna come down, this comes down here, like this. I think for the line, that highlight, this highlight right here, that comes up like this. And you have it. Right. That, her iris is going to be right here.
Oh, I think so too. Yeah. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
That's this one.
Makes us look so.
Very good. I mean,
Yeah. Oh, yeah, sure, I'll do that. Yeah, no problem. Yeah. What was I thinking?
So now, darkening around
We're gonna bring
her
some
eye.
down and come outside.
I got that, darkening that. And I got that upper eyelid.
Everybody's packing up
Lower
early.
eyelid.
No, he said we're gonna go outside with the sketch
Look
pad.
at that.
Oh, okay.
Pretty good.
Now, learn
This
a little
light
bit about
area, the
perspective.
highlight, is going to come to about that. See this, the distance from here to here.
Hold up there? I would think so.
Highlight, this is highlight. So this, that's highlight. So that shadow has a certain dimension. So you can, what you could do is you could sort of draw in, realizing that this highlight is light. Like that. Okay, and you have that. It comes along here. This distance, to me, I don't know, it seems farther than it, a little bit.
Well, what would I compare it with?
Well, if you look at this, you look at the shape that you have, it looks great, great shape. See how this distance right here to here, it's gonna be, but I also look at that shape there, that comes out. This just, I don't know, it just seems.
Do you think that these should be, see this part right here?
Yeah.
From here to here, maybe it should go round
A little bit, yeah, that's what you're saying. So, it's gonna come, that shadow is gonna come in here a little further. Right, see that shape? I look at it like,
It's right in here.
yeah.
You're yawning a lot. You're yawning a lot.
I look at it like the other, looking at it upside down.
So, not this Friday, like tomorrow.
The shape's pretty
But
darn
next
good.
Friday?
But before I did anything.
The carpeting is going in, so I'd like to not teach next
You know, chin's gonna get, chin is an actual visualization. See that?
Kind of like the fat part of the lip is kind of.
Coffee cup keeps going in front of the camera.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, look at that whole shape there. Right? So, you get that down, right? And then all these other, you understand about
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that looks like fun.
It has a lot of fun.
Could I have you sharpen that for me? Because I don't have a sharpener at home and I don't
Yes.
have one of those sharpeners.
Yes.
I don't have a blade thing.
Thank you. You need to get
I know, yeah, I really
really,
do. Yeah.
really handy.
Problem is I buy them and then I use them and they break.
Oh, yeah, I got a grocery list going here of things I need.
Yeah.
Filbert brush, kneading eraser, and a razor knife.
Those felt erasers are almost impossible to find. You gotta go online, I think.
For which?
The felt erasers, the old stuff.
Oh, yeah, you do. Yeah, you do.
Good, so
What do you
before,
with the Office Depot?
The good thing is they're not very expensive.
Bet Office
before
Depot
we
has
go
them.
out,
Who has this?
I would bet Office Depot.
Oh, Office Depot does?
They have all kinds of stuff.
Oh, did you find one there?
No, but I'm betting they have them.
Oh, well, I got one right by our place, I'll go and try that.
Yeah.
Of all places, Office Depot.
Oh, yeah, when you want to find some pencils and erasers, go there too.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so we're gonna go on and do the,
I'd like to, before we leave, if we could get a picture of everybody with their, you know, the drawing that they're working on or something.
Oh, sure.
If we could. Dang it. They're my favorite. Yeah. Where's their good lighting? Maybe like this. Okay, yeah, perfect.
All of us together?
Yeah,
where you want us
like
to be?
maybe right here, because the lighting, I think, is. Well, get here.
There's space right here, right? You can scoot
Or,
in, right?
that's fine.
yeah, come over here.
There you go.
I like it. What do you think?
Well, safely
Okay,
within
all right.
safely within our
Yes.
COVID.
Okay,
modified